Well, good evening, folks, and welcome back to the farm. Beautiful mid to late summer evening here on the farm. It's a little bit of a breeze, but that's okay. We're gonna head over to the meat chicks here. I got them in the chicken tractors. You can see 1, 2 there. And I gotta say, this year I'm not super impressed with our meat chicks. We got them from Miller Hatchery, and there's quite a few that are, to be honest, runty. Like, they had 3.5 weeks, almost 4 weeks in the brooder in the barn, good heat to them, good feed supply, good water, everything. But they look like they're like 3-day-old chicks, right? I mean, there's lots in there that are big ones for sure, but there's a couple that are just, like I say, they're like they were born last week for some reason. And unfortunately, first move, in fact, in this chicken tractor, one of those little runty ones, when I went to move, I mean, I just run right over it, unfortunately. It's too bad, but I got one over here. I'll let you see it. So you can kind of see that one that's sitting beside its sibling there. Like, the size difference is phenomenal. There's a couple of those ones in here like that. Once the chicken tractor's all moved into their new spot, I'm just gonna run over to the barn here. I get some more feed for them, and then get them some fresh water. I think it's time to go for a hike. We're running this electric netting around the peripheral areas of the yard site, letting the sheep kind of come in and graze and clean up a little bit of stuff around the yard. But I mean, big picture wise, why do we do that? Well, it's because they're getting low on pasture. Now they're really low in terms of like what's available left in the yard, and what's out on pasture right here is, albeit almost non-existent. So last year this time, out in the 2 pie-shaped pieces in the dugout pasture, we had 18 ewes and their lambs. And this year, another drought year, we just decided, you know what, we're just gonna run the ewes out there. We'll wean before we put the ewes out there, and they can stay out there by themselves. And they're doing a number. We got 22 ewes in there right now. They're doing a number on those pastures without any lambs there. And then we got this 8-acre piece just over here and behind the barn. And man, oh man, there's about 40 lambs, and they're just like picking that clean. So it's time. We had to do what we did last year, and that was just build additional fence in an obscure place. And so we've got some stuff at the bottom of the hill inside a little dugout in a wooded area that I've been really throwing around the ideas, like, should I fence it? Should I not fence it? Should I fence it? Should I not fence it? Well, I got home from work this afternoon, and the wife come up. She's like, I don't know how you feel about this, but you know, I think we should load up the electric netting and maybe haul the sheep out to Rio Grande. And I was like, oh my goodness. Do I really want, what would that be? About 45 kilometers away. Do I really want the lamb flock 45 kilometers away? That'd be tough. That'd be tough to manage in an area that does not have established infrastructure that is specifically designed for holding sheep. You'd be having temporary setups, so you'd constantly have to move. Maybe every day, maybe every 2 days. It's very labor intensive. So I could probably pour a little bit of that labor and a little bit of the finance that would be required to pull that off into just fencing a portion of the farm here where, by and large, the cows don't even access, just because it's wooded area, right? It's difficult for them to get in there and beat through the bush, where a small little lamb can probably get into all those places and graze on some of the willows and clean up some of the grass that needs to be cleaned up anyways, right? So we'll see. I'll take a walk down there and see what we can see. I think though, before we go down way down the hill and go check fence or pace out the fence, I'm gonna take the old wash tub and a shovel here, head down to the garden. My wife would like me to dig up some potatoes and carrots, and yeah, it's a good time to check in on them and see how well they've grown. Of course, I'm at an unfair advantage. I kind of already know the answer to that question, because the other night we had potatoes and carrots and they were delicious. You can hardly guess it amidst all the weeds here, but yes, there's carrots in here. So have a pull. Let's see. Oh, I broke that one off. I might have to dig these out with a shovel. There we go. There's some beauties right there. Oh yeah, look at that. Just wondering why my phone was so foggy. It almost looked like it was on like glamour shots mode or something like that. It was here when I set it down to move the chicken tractors. I set the camera lens on the front camera right in some chicken poop. Needless to say, it was a little foggy. I just come over here to, well, I went to look at the sunflowers actually. They're doing amazing. So are the weeds, by the way. The weeds are doing amazing. But nothing beats the pumpkin patch. And this is just, I don't know, this is just stubbornness is what happened here. So my wife said we had to lay this plastic down so the weeds didn't take over. And this is where the squash was planted. You can see there's some squash in the back there, but out front, nothing really took except for some thistles, some pineapple weed, some pennycress, and some other things you don't want in your garden. But I think it was like one squash seed per hole kind of thing. When I came to the pumpkins, I'm like, no. Like there's strength in numbers. And I literally grabbed a mitt full of pumpkin seeds and shoved them into every hole. And now we have this just Jurassic kind of scene here. It's very Amazon rainforesty, but no pumpkins yet. Everything's just kind of starting to flower in here. It'd be interesting to see just how much pumpkin density, how much mass we can get out of this footprint here, because that's what I tried to do over there on the other side of the garden, but it was kind of the weak side of the garden. There wasn't really a lot of nutrition here. Here we had some really good soil, so I'm hoping things are fantastic. All right, so there you have it. I've got my garden carrots all set up for supper on Saturday night. Now the greens, the vegetable tops off the carrots, we break them off before we even take these to go get washed, and we just lay them right there back on the ground and provide cover, right? Cover up that soil, keep it cool, keep the biomass in situ. I'm obviously taking quite a bit of biomass out just with the carrots alone. So I don't need to take all of that by any means. So we put some of it back right there. It provides a nice cover, reduces the weed cover, keeps that carbon and a little bit of nitrogen back in the soil where it needs to be. Anyways, that's enough about carrots. We're going to see about some potatoes here. So this is the potato forest. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of potatoes in here. And I don't know how many pounds of potatoes this is going to yield, but we dug the one hill out here the other night for supper, and we got about 5 pounds of potatoes off of that. And I'm sure, yeah, we picked some dill too, actually, because that's what we had, was dill potatoes. So we'll go ahead and dig another hill here and see what we get. I'll just loosen it up a little bit, just because there's quite a bit of clay in this soil. And I'll just pull it off and see. Look at that, just a beautiful Yukon Gold potato. But anyways, that's our bounty for today. All right, so I pasted it all off here, and if I go my 100 paces all the way that way, it leads me to that, can't really see it from here, but kind of a big old honking half dead tree down there, about halfway down. And then I can cut through the bush. There seems to be a pretty nice game trail that the cows have pushed through. Bit of a clearing. Oh man, the mosquitoes are coming out. So I can run my electric netting all the way down there to the very tip of the corrals. Now, why is that important? So I want to be able to load and handle and manage these animals, because of course they're lambs, so they're not as well conditioned to humans as the ewes are, grain trained essentially, right? So if I just have them running amok in the forest, that's going to be a gong show. So I want them to have access to the corrals so that I can keep one corral open, and I can go in there every couple of days and fetch them a bucket of grain and condition them to coming in there. The other reason it's important is because, well, how am I going to get him down here? I'm certainly not just going to go for the old marathon down the hill and just run him into the bush and then slam the fence shut behind him. That's not going to work. So I got to get him into the barn, which is easy enough. They like going in the barn. But I'll get him in the barn and I'll push him into the back of the stock trailer. and I'll trailer them down to the corrals and then let them out into the forest here. That's the plan. But as for when I'm actually going to build the fence, I got about, what do we got there? Half an inch of daylight left. So it's not going to happen today, but it's scoped out. Like I said, I got 2 lengths of that 164 foot long electric netting. I could probably do with 3, 4, 5 more lengths, but we'll see if the old pocketbook will allow me to buy 1 more length. We'll check the price on it in PV Mart here. But it's not cheap. That stuff's not cheap. But boy, oh boy, is it ever handy. Now, of course, down here, there's no power, right? So I got to use a solar energizer. You know, kind of intermittent how good a kick they got. But I would say probably this is one of the best spots on the entire farm. Kind of where this, you know, this is, like I said, it's an ephemeral draw. It's the best spot for growing grass, but it's also the best spot to put a ground rod in and expect some results. So I think even if we're only getting a little bit of a tick, tick, tick off Mother Nature there from the sky, I'm thinking it's going to take it pretty deep into the ground and it'll light some stuff up. So I'm not too worried about that. What I am worried about is Sir Isaac Newton. Gravity brought me down here, but now I got to climb this bloody great hill to get all the way back up to the house. So I think by the time I'm up there, I'm going to be itching for a cup of tea. So instead of making you listen to me huff and puff and pant all the way up there, I'll let you go for now. So I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.